All right, so here we're trying something different. We're going to try doing a video. And let's recap a little bit where we were in terms of NMP and managing and leading people. Just go back to the beginning. We started off with an introduction, and we then said we were going to be looking at three broad areas in terms of the behavior layer of the onion. And that was we're going to look at thinking skills, interpersonal skills, and leadership skills. We started off with the thinking skills. We did the case study with Aztec. We spent a lot of time on Aztec, understanding Aztec, but also understanding how you would apply the thinking skills to Aztec. We then moved on to leadership by still using Aztec, and I'll ask you the question, if you were to take over the management of Aztec, tell me about your management leadership style. And that led us to a discussion of the broad styles of leadership and management. Firstly, the more directive style, the participative style, and then the laissez-faire style. We looked at different styles of management and leadership, and we did a questionnaire and you evaluated yourself. We then went on to the concept or the question of management versus leadership, Peter Drucker, and looked at what is the difference of managers versus leaders, and we covered that. We then went on to leadership pipeline, which says there's different levels of leadership. We start off by managing self, then managing others, then managing managers, and so it progresses. And the conclusion is that each time you move, and in fact before you move, in anticipation of your movement, you need to go through transitions. And that basically, if you have a look at the programs we run at Wits Business School, although they're not designed around this module or this model, they work very well with that model, namely that your NMP program is aimed at assisting people with transition 1 and or 2, and then your MAP program is transition number 3, and your MBA would probably be transition number 4. We are therefore looking at transition 1 and 2 on the NMP, and we then said for you to be able to make those transitions, that transition 1 and 2, there's certain core skills you need to have. You need to be able to guide and direct people. You need to be able to delegate. You need to be able to develop your staff, empower your people, motivate your staff, and also be able to monitor and control. And I said to you that that was a very important list, and then you should take note of it should you be writing an exam in the future. We then went from that on to looking at a model of how do we manage and lead. How do we guide and direct people? And that was the Hernsey-Blanchard model on situational leadership, which basically says we need to be able to understand the competence level of an individual, and then we need to match our guidance or the amount of structure provided based on that competence level.